Hello, good day. How are you today? You're good, right? Okay, so are you ready for today's lesson? You are, that is good. So today, in basic technology, we are going to be learning about friction. Okay? Our topic for today, in basic technology, it's on friction. So you're ready for today's lesson, right? That's good. So first, we are going to know the meaning of friction. Okay? Friction is the force that opposes the relative motion or tendency of such motion between two surfaces in contact. It's caused by the roughness of surfaces and the interactions between atoms and molecules at the contact point. Okay? So friction is the force that happens when two things rub against each other. It's like a stickiness between surfaces that make it hard for things to slide or move smoothly. Okay? Do we understand that? Good. So friction is like the stickiness when things rub against each other. It's what makes it hard for things to slide or move smoothly. It's why you don't slip when you walk and why brakes help stop a car. Okay? So friction is a fundamental force that plays a vital role in our daily lives, making many activities safer and more enjoyable. Okay? So we are going to be looking at the uses and advantages of friction. Uses and advantages of friction. One of the uses and advantages of friction, one we have grip and traction. Friction allows us to walk, drive, or stop a moving vehicle safely. So friction between our shoes and the ground allows us to walk without slipping. It keeps us stable and prevents accidents. So it helps us walk safely. So friction between our shoes and the ground keeps us from slipping. Okay? Another use and advantages of friction is braking. Friction between brake pads and car's wheel slows it down when you apply brakes. So friction is crucial for vehicle brakes. When you press the brake pedal, the friction between the brake pads and the wheel slows down the vehicle, helping you stop safely. Okay? So friction helps brakes stop a car when we press the pedal. We also have writing. Friction between a pencil and a paper helps us write. Friction between a pencil and a paper is what lets us write. The pencil lead creates mark on the paper due to friction. So the friction between a pencil and a paper helps us write. Another use and advantage of friction is musical instruments. Stringed instruments like violins rely on friction to produce sound. So friction is used in musical instruments like violins. When you rub the bow against the strings, it creates friction, which produces sound. Okay? We also have nail and screw fastening. Friction holds nails, screws, and bolts in place. Friction between nails, screws, or bolts and the materials they put into keeps them in place, helping to build and repair things. Okay? Friction holds things together. Nails and screws stay in place because of friction. We also have sports. Friction is essential in sports like basketball, when players need to grip the ball and stop quickly. So friction is important in sports like basketball. It helps players stop, change direction, and control the ball, making the game more enjoyable, right? So friction helps us grip a ball when playing sports like basketball. So these are the uses and advantages of friction. We mentioned grip and traction, braking, writing, musical instruments, nail and screw fastening, and sports. So we now know the uses and advantages of friction, right? Good. So now we are going to look at how to reduce friction. Remember, friction is the force that happens when two things rub against each other, right? It's like a stickiness between surfaces that makes things hard to slide or move smoothly. So now we are going to be looking at how to reduce friction, okay? One, we have lubrication. Adding substances like oil or grease between surfaces reduce friction. So putting oil or grease between moving parts to make them slide easier reduce friction, okay? Two, we have smoothing surfaces. Polishing or machining surfaces can make them smoother, reducing friction. So making surfaces smoother by polishing or using smooth materials reduces friction. Okay? Use of ball bearings. Ball bearings minimize contact and reduce friction in rotating parts. Ball bearings are little tiny smooth balls, okay, that help things move super easily. They reduce friction by rolling instead of rubbing, making machines like bicycles and skateboards go faster and smoother. 4. Aerodynamics. Streamlining shapes reduces air resistance, a form of friction. Aerodynamics is like making things go through the air more easily. It's all about giving things the right shape, like making a car or a plane streamlined so they can move faster and use less fuel because the air doesn't push against them as much. Okay? 5, we have low friction materials. Using materials with inherently low friction properties such as Teflon. So low friction materials are like things that don't stick to each other very much. When we use materials that don't grab onto each other, it's easier for things to slide and move without getting stuck. So it's like having surfaces that are very smooth and slippery. So these are the ways of reducing friction. Lubrication, smoothing surfaces, using of ball bearings, aerodynamics, and low friction material. Okay, so we now know how to reduce friction, right? Good. Next, we're going to be looking at balanced and unbalanced friction. Balanced and unbalanced friction. Balanced and unbalanced friction is a way to classify the effects of friction on motion, okay? So the balanced friction in situations where the forces due to friction are equal and opposite, an object remains at rest or moves at a constant velocity. This is often seen in objects on a horizontal surface with no net force acting on them. So the balanced friction is when the force of a friction is like a tie. It's equally strong in the opposite direction of what's trying to move. So nothing moves. It's like a standstill force. Okay? Do we understand? Good. So the balanced friction is when you push an object. If the friction is equal to your push, the object doesn't move or moves at a steady speed. So we now know the meaning of balanced friction, right? The unbalanced friction, when the forces of friction are not equal or opposite. There's an overall force acting on an object. For example, if you push a book across a table, the force of your push must overcome the force of friction to set the book in motion, creating unbalanced friction. Okay, so the unbalanced friction is when the force of friction is not equal. It's either weak or strong than what's trying to move. So things start moving or slow down because one force is winning. So do we understand? If you push an object and the friction is less, the object starts moving. This means you overcame the friction with a stronger push. So we now understand the balanced and unbalanced friction, right? So friction is a cool force we deal with every day. So we understood the lesson on friction, right? Remember, today's topic is on friction. And we said friction is like the stickiness when things rub against each other. It's what makes it hard for things to slide or move smoothly. And we talked about the uses and advantages of friction, right? Did we? We did. We also talked about how to reduce friction. And we now know how to reduce friction, right? Then we talked about balanced and unbalanced friction. So we understood today's lesson on friction, right? That is good. So we are going to be moving over to our assignment. I'm sure we are going to be able to do our assignment. That's good, okay?